Good morning, Tommy.
More like good afternoon. It's 3 o'clock.
Don't break the illusion, please.
Okay, well. Oh yeah, speaking of illusions, um,
Talking about Now You See Me, the
now you see
2013
me too.
heist film with, I think,
Yeah,
Jesse
is it actually a
Eisenberg.
heist film?
I think so, yeah. I think it's like,
I know. I saw the first. I saw the first one, and it was a magic movie.
yeah, but don't they
It was
steal
a movie
stuff
about
with
a bunch of.
magic?
I have no fucking clue.
I don't know. I've never seen it. Yeah, Jesse
The
Eisenberg
first one
is
wasn't bad. Yeah, he is, and so was uh
Dave
Dave
Franco.
Dave Franco, and
Yeah,
what's that other guy?
I
The
don't know.
guy with the he's in Solo. The guy who was like the good guy, but the bad guy. He's like a really
Oh, Woody
famous guy. I just have
Harrelson.
no idea.
Woody Harrelson.
Yep, that's him.
Also, Mark
Hmm.
Ruffalo and Morgan Freeman and Daniel Radcliffe. I did not know all those
Wow,
people were in
that's
it.
a star-studded cast.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Anyway, we're
anyways,
talking.
today,
Yeah, go for it, Tommy.
anyways, before my co-commentator so rudely interrupted me, we're talking about WandaVision today. I watched it within a week. One of the first times I think I've spent that much time watching a show. But yeah, we both watched it, and we're gonna talk about it as we
Hmm.
usually do.
Yeah. Uh, Before that, I don't know. Just
Yeah. Um, I
got anything?
guess I
Got
we
anything to
figure if
talk
we
about?
want to talk about something else that I don't know if you want to talk about it because we I don't think both of either of us have seen like the vast majority of the Oscar movies.
Oscar noms.
Oscar
I've
noms.
seen.
I've seen a few.
I've seen three of them.
I've
I
seen.
think.
I think I saw Trial of Chicago 7 and The Sound of Metal.
Yeah. So I'm gonna try and
Both of
watch
them
them
are
all
good.
before the Oscars, which are in
Yeah, I think we
April.
should probably. I mean, we're kind of just figuring this out now, but maybe we should have like an episode before the Oscars and
Oscar
just like,
predictions.
yeah, just do Oscar prediction because now it's like we could talk about them because they released them all,
Mm-hmm.
but we don't really have much to say because we haven't seen a lot of them.
Right. We'll do that.
Yeah, as it is now, I really did like that Sound of Metal was like nominated for so much because that was actually like I was surprised it was a good movie.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'll watch. I'm probably gonna watch that one next because it's most accessible. Like the ones that are gonna be kind of hard to find are Minari and
the
The
Father.
Father. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like literally nowhere.
So I'll try and seek those out. But I've seen Nomadland. I've seen Mank, and I've seen uh, Trial of Chicago 7. So I gotta watch Sound of Metal, Judas and the Black Messiah, which is on HBO Max.
Yeah.
Um, uh, what are the other ones? Minari, which is I don't
Sorry.
know. The Father, which is also I don't know,
Promising Young Woman.
and Promising Young Women, which I think is
Um,
also somewhere I don't know. So three of those are going to be kind of difficult, but
yeah, I think Minari and Promising Young Woman is they're both like available on platforms, but it's like spend $20 on
yeah,
YouTube TV to be able to watch it kind of thing.
yeah, we
Which
could
is just
split
not.
it maybe.
I'd be down to split. Um,
Split
yeah, but besides that, The Father is just like nowhere, and
yeah.
the other movies are like on various streaming platforms. I think.
Mm-hmm. Well, we'll have to find a very legal way to watch it then.
Yes, very legal.
Anyway, um, yeah. Notably, I was surprised that there were two movies on here for Best Picture that I was very surprised did not end up in the Best Picture list.
What are those? What are those?
Tenet. I was surprised Tenet wasn't
Oh,
there.
are you gonna say Defy Bloods is the other one?
Yeah, Defy Bloods I would have expected to be on there.
I also I mean I guess I'm kind of glad just because I don't think either of us really liked Defy Bloods that much, and I know you didn't like Tenet all that much, but those just seemed like movies that would have been
Especially in a year where there was so little
like literally nothing.
released. Notable snubs: Tom and Jerry.
Yeah. Trolls World Tour.
Chores Little Tour that
I
got
was
fucking
pretty upset. You know,
bullshit.
it was actually I think
Oh, this is.
so the best adapted screenplay.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm pretty sure there is one nominee for it that is very much does not fit in.
Which is what?
Can I find it? Which one is it? Yep, here it is. Yeah, best adapted screenplay. So most of them, I'm trying to find the list. Fuck. Here we go. Wait, no, this is not it. Whatever. Anyways, I'm just trying to get to my point that Borat's subsequent movie film was nominated for best adapted screenplay.
You know, I'm honestly, I'm not surprised about that. I was
How are you
expecting it to
not
show up
surprised?
somewhere because people really liked how it was like,
I mean,
political
I guess
commentary.
like it's because there's like it's political.
Mm-hmm. But I don't
So
get how it's an adapted screenplay
I also don't really understand.
because I would
Um,
think it's an original screenplay, isn't it?
yeah,
Whatever. Um, but yeah, I
yeah.
can make
It's
two Oscar
best.
predictions right now. The rest of them I got to kind of look into more to make them.
Mhm.
But I think there's one that you and I will unanimously agree on, and one that's my best fishnet guess,
Yeah, go for it.
which is I think we could both agree that best animated film is going to go to Soul.
Yeah, it probably will. I don't think Onward. I mean, I haven't seen Onward, but like, I just feel like Soul. Yeah, you're right.
And for best picture, I feel like it's probably going to be Nomadland, I guess, because
Yeah,
that's the one I've heard the most buzz around.
I've not seen all of them, and I think this is gonna be the first year where I do try to watch all of them before
Hmm.
the actual awards.
I
And
tried to last year, but I missed out on Irishman and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
mm, yeah, we'll have to see. The two movies that I've watched, Trial of Chicago 7 and Sound of Metal, were both good. Like, I would not be sad if either one of those won.
Hmm.
Just because they both did good jobs. But yeah, we'll have to see where it goes. But whatever.
For sure. I know it won't be Mank, and I hope it's not Mank. If it's Mank, I'm gonna lose my shit.
The 2021 Best Picture
It goes to Mank.
Mank.
You have to watch Mank.
Yeah. Yeah. So who knows? I think maybe what we'll try to do is before during the Oscar noms episode, we might do Parasite because we've been
Because
meaning to
that
do
one
that.
Best Picture. That's a good
That
idea.
one Best Picture, and it was fucking incredible.
Hmm.
But
Last
yeah,
year, I feel like all the nominations like deserved it a lot more than this year
I don't remember what else was there besides Parasite.
for Best Picture.
Yeah.
Uh, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, The Irishman, Joker, uh, uh, Marriage Story, Ford versus Ferrari. Um, what else was there? Shit, I've seen all but two, and I can't remember what the other ones are. Oh, Little Women and
Mm.
Jojo Rabbit.
Yeah. Several of those movies I haven't seen.
But most of them had like a lot of hype around. Like most of them were very very well received. So
Yeah.
it was like, you know, I was not the biggest. Oh, in 1917, but I was not the biggest fan of Jojo Rabbit. So,
Yeah. I heard mixed things about that movie.
um, but yeah, so we'll see. We'll do that
Michael, I have
Oscar.
some bad news.
Yeah, what?
I've been shopping at Walmart.
Ew, why?
It's so cheap.
I know it's cheap, but it feels so gross in there. That's where all
I
the
know it is.
anti-maskers are.
Like it really is. Well, I mean, people wear masks, but it just I don't know. I don't. It feels weird. It feels. I don't feel at home. I'll just say that I don't feel at home whenever I'm there.
That's what I'm
But like,
saying.
I get.
Target feels like
But like,
that, but Walmart.
I literally pay 78 cents for an avocado.
You been grocery shopping there,
Yeah.
bruh? You're gonna get fucking all kinds of diseases, not just COVID.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I just do my shopping at the grocery store like a normal person.
What kind of grocery store? Outum.
Hannaford's.
Oh, we have a Hannaford's.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? It's called Hannaford, not Hannaford's. But I keep
Oh,
calling it Hannaford's.
it's called Hannaford's.
No, it's called Hannaford. Hannaford.
Holy shit, is it really?
Yeah. I only know that because
Fuck.
I called it Hannaford so
Hannaford?
much.
I didn't know it
I
was
called
fucking
it Hannaford
Hannaford's.
so much, and it's not called Hannaford's.
Damn, that's like a fucking Mandela Effect thing.
Yeah. How do you feel about the Mandela Effect?
I don't know. There are a lot of them where I feel like people are just being stupid.
I 100% agree.
But like there are some where I'm like, oh damn, I really thought it was that other thing. But then I just move on. I'm not really thinking too much about it.
Yeah, there's like one, like this one, like I'm looking at one. The first one is like, does Curious George have a tail? And it's like, what do you mean? Like,
Yeah.
I don't. If it's either way, then like, sure.
Yeah, and it's like people are like, oh my god, it must be like an alternate universe thing where he has a tail. Like, no, dude, you just thought he had a tail because he's a monkey. That's what. That's it. That's it.
I think the
Great.
only one, or the only one that I know of that really like confuses me is the actual like Nelson Mandela death, because that's just crazy that a bunch of people remember him dying.
Yeah.
And like he just straight up didn't.
Yeah, I know. What was I gonna say? Yeah, but like there's the one that's like, oh, is Pikachu's tail actually black on the end? And I'm like
I don't know.
I never thought that ever.
And the Berenstein and Berenstain, like they're such like tiny little things. Like literally, I'm looking at this stuff, and one of them was like, "How is Febreze spelled?" It's like Oscar Mayer. Is it an E or an A? It's I don't know. There's just such tiny things that it's like, what's going on is your brain is just completing it how like you would normally
How
think
you
of
think
it.
it would be.
Exactly, but it's different. Like I don't know. It's kind of stupid.
Yeah, it's kind of funny, but yeah, I don't think too much about that kind of stuff. I think a lot of people get really like, whoa. You know, like people who are like, oh, my horoscope said this thing would happen today, and it did. And it's like,
Yeah.
wow, those are always making like the most broad generalizations ever. And it happened. It's like Sokka in that episode of Avatar where he's like, oh, you wear
the
those
fortune
shoes
teller.
every day.
Yeah.
Then of course it's going to happen while you're wearing them.
Yeah. Great show, Avatar. We're gonna have to do Korra soon. Have you? Oh wait, didn't you say
I'm
you're gonna
still
watch?
working on Breaking Bad.
Are you watching Korra after Breaking Bad?
That's the plan for
Cool.
now.
What season of Breaking Bad?
Season 4.
Cool.
Like about halfway through. Yeah, it's good. I just can't. I like Lily always wants to watch it with me, so I can't watch it.
Oh, do you watch it together?
Yeah, which is annoying because I would be done with it by now.
Which is annoying because I hate watching shows with women.
Yep. So should we move into that show about Wanda and Vision?
Yeah.
Why is it called WandaVision?
It's a weird. I don't know. It's a weird name for a show, but
Is it because both their names are Wanda and Vision? Have you seen that meme where it's like, spoilers for WandaVision, by the way, but it's the two visions talking to each other, and they're like, someone's like, one vision says, "Why is it called WandaVision?" And the white vision's like, "Because it's a celebration of all television going on in Wanda's mind. So thus it's Wanda's television program making it WandaVision." And the other vision's like, "My name is Vision and her name is Wanda." But yeah, so general thoughts. I don't know.
let's go into Chad and Bad quickly, because I think that's easier to, because it's hard to really go at it from I don't really know where to start. This is the weird thing, but I thought I'll give it a slight Chad. Slight.
Mm-hmm. I guess it also lands slightly on Chad radar for me as well.
Mhm.
Um, but I'm pretty mixed on it. What I will say is I think this show has like a pretty baller start. Like I really like the
I agree.
intrigue and the building and the ooh, we're doing different sitcoms and it's fun and it's wacky and it's crazy. What I don't like was pretty much anything to do with sword. I thought was like really boring, and like I was like, oh, I would much rather see the interesting, quirky, new shit rather than the same old like general agents from Marvel that are like, wow, this thing is weird. Here's a bunch of made up science to explain it. And like,
Yeah.
I don't know, just didn't need it. Didn't really think Jimmy
I
Woo and all that was all that funny or interesting or anything. And I would much rather have just like
yeah,
slowly built up intrigue in the sitcom part.
I would agree. I was very interested by like the whole sitcom thing, which last week we talked about because I was talking about the first 3 episodes, and I really enjoyed it. And then once they went into like, oh, here's what happened. This is cosmic microwave background, and I don't know whatever it was. And then I'm like, oh, here comes like the unnecessary part of the Marvel movie where they start explaining science that doesn't exist, and it's
Right.
like at that point, just say like, it's magic, and she's using
Right.
matter
Like you
magic.
now have these characters like Doctor Strange and Scarlet Witch where you could be like, fuck it, who cares? It's just magic, and they can be like, oh, this is weird. But instead, you've got fucking Darcy being like, oh, it's emitting this type of wave and this type of radiation, and it's like, who fucking cares about any of this shit? Just tell us, oh, look, it's being broadcast in a
Yeah,
television show.
I
That's
was
kind of
like
funny.
really not interested by life outside of Westview.
Westview, yeah.
Westview. I didn't understand what Monica's deal was. I know she had some kind of backstory that I just missed. Was
Have you
she?
seen Captain Marvel?
I did. I do. I don't remember it.
She is the little girl in Captain Marvel.
Okay, why did she just like wake up in a hospital?
She was visiting her mother,
Yeah.
and then Thanos snapped, and then she reappeared there 5 years later.
Oh, okay. That would have really helped if they explained that.
Hmm.
What were all the bees?
The bees.
Yeah.
I think that was just Wanda's magic trying to explain. Like it takes everything that's like weird outside the dome, or like anything that's reminds her of her old life, and turns it into something that makes sense in the context of the world she's created. So it turned that guy in a hazmat suit into a beekeeper. But I will say that that thing seemed like it's set up. It was set up for something bigger or more important, and
Yeah.
it's just kind of nothing. And I think
I was like, what's the significance of the bees? But
the
then,
first time in the show where I was really like, here we go. This is going to be more generic Marvel than I was hoping. Was episode 4, which is basically let's explain every single weird thing that's happened in the past 3 episodes. Like it's literally just an episode with Monica, um, Darcy and Jimmy Woo, and they're like, oh, so this helicopter that she found was actually this, and this beekeeper was actually this, and this was this, and it's like, why do we have to explain this all? Can't the audience make some guesses for themselves? You know, like, um, I don't, I just
and
felt like it
also
was
like
like,
I kind of was still intrigued about what was happening with them, and like I don't know,
yeah,
like with whatever it was, Westview, like inside Westview. I didn't really
mm-hmm,
care all that much, like what the explanation was. Like obviously, like I wanted to know how they got there
mm-hmm,
and explaining. I was perfectly fine with the explanation of um Wanda was just really upset and create somehow like involuntarily created a world um like of her own inside Westview.
right,
I was perfectly fine with that explanation, but then they spent like the next like 3 episodes explaining it and
right.
like justifying it. And I'm like, I don't care. I don't care that much. Like,
It doesn't have to be justified because we can still root for a character that is doing something bad. You know, like there are characters
Mhm.
who do bad things, Prince Zuko, and then we're like, no, but we still want them to end up being good, you know? You don't
Yeah.
always have to be like, okay, she's not that bad,
And
like
that was like kind of the point of the back half of the show. It was like, okay, like she did like do a little bit of imprisoning a bunch of people, but
yeah.
like that's okay. I mean, like she's had a rough time. Like, come on,
Hmm.
like give her. And it's like, okay, like this is not the way you should be
Yeah.
explaining,
Um,
justifying the situation.
but to kind of sing the praises a little more, like I like all the sitcom based episodes, except like kind of the last one in that format. I didn't like that much. The one that was kind of based on like Modern Family or something. You know that one?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
But all the other ones, I was like, oh, they're really dedicated to like doing the decade right, and they had the theme song and the commercials, and it was all really fun because the commercials were like tied to the Marvel universe, but they were still in like the you know vein of the decade that they came from. And in the early episodes, like the 50s episode, they were clearly doing like special effects or practical effects that were what they would do at the time. Like everything's on strings, and like, you know, when Vision walks through the door, it's got this little sparkle effect on it. It's like
Hmm.
I like seeing that shit, and I guess it's kind of natural for the show because it's like as you go through the decades, special effects do get more in line with what the Marvel movies do today. Um, but I think that was the most effective thing they had going for them were those earlier sitcom episodes, and I think that kind of ends with the Halloween episode, the one that's based on Malcolm in the Middle. Um,
Hmm.
uh, but okay, so yeah, that's another thing I want to talk about. Quicksilver. Do you know like the whole thing about Evan Peters in Quicksilver?
He got shot.
That's not the same guy, but okay. So
Oh, oh wait, Quicksilver was the guy in Days of Future Past, right?
yes, mm-hmm.
He's
And
not the
Evan
same
Peters
guy as Wanda's brother.
is right. He played
Okay.
the X-Men version of Quicksilver, while Aaron Taylor Johnson played the MCU version of Quicksilver.
Oh, so
So
they brought back the X-Men version of Quicksilver?
right. So a lot of people were like, "Holy shit, the multiverse is happening." They're like, "That is that the same character from the X-Men movies?" And he's like, "There's some weird stuff going on." And then they're like, "No, it's Ralph Boner." Like,
Bro.
so it was kind of really disappointing for us who really liked Evan Peters in the X-Men. I'm not like I don't care that much. Like it's just kind of a fun, cameo or whatever for the audience that has seen the X-Men movies. But it was kind of weird to like bring him back, have him play the same character, and then just be like, "Oh, he's actually like literally nobody." And it's not really that important to the whole thing.
Yeah, because like
Because
they
like,
gotta know that like bringing somebody back who's not part of that universe is
yeah,
gonna like excite a lot
it's
of.
like you bring back Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man, and then they're like, "Who are you?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm not actually Peter Parker, or I'm like Jim Poop Pants." Like that'd be so lame. Um, and I think the Quicksilver stuff, like in episode 5, or maybe it's episode 6, the Halloween one, I think he's like the most fun part of that entire episode. You
Yeah,
know,
he's pretty fun. I liked him a lot.
and I would have liked to see him a little more because it was especially weird in the next episode. He's just completely gone, and he hasn't been explained yet. Like we don't know he's like doing stuff for Agatha, so it was kind of weird that he's just not around in the episode immediately after. Just kind of felt like they didn't know what to do with him after that.
Hmm.
Which is
He's
disappointing because I really liked him, and like seeing him like take on this like kind of Uncle Jesse relationship with the twins. Um, I also really liked the twins. I thought
yeah, they're pretty cool.
they were pretty cool and they were good child actors, and I'm
Yeah,
excited to
I don't
see
know.
what they do with that.
Yeah, I think just thinking about it, like the last half of the show was just like it just fell flat for me.
Yep, I
Uh,
think from the Modern Family episode pretty much on, I was like, eh. And I think a lot of that's due to
dude,
um, I think a lot of that's due to Agatha being a very weak
she
villain.
we talked about this. She there's like very little purpose for
Hmm.
her. There
And that's not the actress really. Like she's giving a fine performance.
Yeah, exactly. She's just like I don't really know why she's there.
Hmm.
Not about her. Like none of the story was ever even close to about like the origin of Wanda's powers or like the universe surrounding her powers. It just wasn't about that. And then they made it about that. and it was like,
Hmm.
what, like, I'm still concerned with like what's happening to the
It's
people
also
that
just
are
weird
with
to
her.
me because like Agatha's end goal was to just get all Wanda's power and be powerful witch lady, right? Uh, and in the context of the show, like she's not being as villainous as Wanda is, you know? Like
Yeah.
Wanda is entrapping people and like practically torturing them, and she's just kind of trying to get more powerful. And it never felt to me like it was like, oh, we got to stop this now, you know?
Hmm.
She felt like every Marvel villain ever, where it's like, I want insert object here that will give me intense amounts of power.
Yeah.
It was
There's no
kind of
reason
like,
for it, but I just want it. And
yeah,
I felt
right.
like with Thanos, like I really like Thanos, and I think we all know that. But one of the reasons is because there's like he says like I want infinite power, um, but then he actually like gives a reason for wanting it. It's a stupid reason, but there's at least a reason.
Hmm.
And he's very like set on his goals, and they really go into like the background of why he wants it. So it makes sense. Like, okay, it's a stupid reason, but like you could see why he would think that, or
Yeah.
at least from his experiences, it's like okay, like that no,
And I think you
makes
just
sense.
enjoy like watching him, and you kind of, the cool thing about Infinity Wars, as you're watching it, like it like Thanos deserves to win, really. Like he
Yeah,
is,
he gives it
he
his
is
all.
no, but like he's like the main character, and he like, you know, it makes sense that he wins, and you're kind of like, you're not rooting for it, obviously, but you're like, when it happens, you're like, yeah, that makes sense. You know, Agatha is just I don't know, she's just did not feel very, I think her backstory was like they put it in there, but it's like nothing.
Yeah, she
And
was like being attacked with witch powers, but then she was able to consume the witch powers. I don't know.
which also like the acting in that scene was like real bad too, like
Yeah.
where she's like, ah, it hurts. Like it was like,
And then she started like,
okay.
yeah. Uh,
Um,
I don't know.
uh,
I just wasn't that into it. Like I said, she comes out of nowhere, and it felt like I said this to you, but it felt like it just felt like the last episode was just a Marvel movie, where it's like,
yeah.
okay, here's the fight against the villain.
And like Agatha has this like big reveal where it's like, oh, it was me, haha. There's this whole song and whatever, and then like it, she like, well, it wasn't really her all along. Like she was doing very minor
Like what were
stuff the
like
whole
yeah,
time.
what was the thing she did?
Killed the
She
dog.
turned Ralph Boner
Yeah,
into
she made Ralph
Quicksilver.
Boner into
she
Quicksilver.
and then she killed a dog. Like what? Nice job, dude. Like you're horrible.
Yeah,
But like you didn't do anything that actually relates to the story.
yeah, and it was just like, if it was presented as this big reveal,
Hmm.
whereas it was just, it wasn't.
It's
It
pretty
wasn't
much
like there
the
was this
same.
build up or anything.
It would be the same if like I stood up and I was like, Michael, I'm not wearing pants. Like that was the big reveal. Like there's no.
Yeah. No, and I think you're right. Like there was some, look, there's some great stuff. Like I really do like the scene where the hex is disappearing and Wanda has to say goodbye to her kids and goodbye to Vision, and it's
Yeah, it
very
was a little sad.
sad. You know, I like that moment a lot, and I like that they kept Vision dead by the end of the show with a little asterisk next to it because of White Vision, but I think that's a different thing. But you know, I do like that they weren't like, oh, okay, Wanda's just gonna bring them back in the real world and everything's fine. You know,
Hmm.
because you know she has to learn to deal with her grief, and that was a good way to frame her story. I think having Agatha around just kind of detracts from that, because it's okay to admit Wanda did something wrong out of her grief, and you know has to learn to accept that herself without having to be like,
Except they
there
just
was someone
don't.
worse there.
Yeah, they don't admit that in the show. Like
Hmm.
they like very much they like barely hint at the fact that like okay, like
Yeah.
it
And like
wasn't
Marvel
totally
characters,
like
Marvel
that was
heroes are not above doing, you know, shitty things.
because like she walks out at the end, and I mean we've pretty much already gotten into spoilers, but she
Oh,
at
we've
the
been
end of the
spoiling the whole time.
show, um she's like walking and then she sees Monica and she's just like everybody hates me, and Monica's like no, you help them, and I was like what, like you help them? You were quite literally the reason why
She's
this
like,
all happened.
they'll never know what you sacrificed for them. And I was like, huh?
Like,
You put them here
yeah, it's like if I,
and knew about it. And she, like, there were multiple times in the show where she chooses to continue prolonging it.
yeah, like she
And again,
created.
I
Mhm.
am all about like having a character doing something wrong and just having the show be like, yeah, this is something wrong and you should criticize that, but you can still love the character and want them to be good in the end.
Zuko.
Because Wanda making the choice to let go of Vision and Billy and Tommy is good, is a good lesson for, like, like a good price to pay for having all she wanted for a little bit at the at the expense of everyone else. Um, and then you could have like the public hate Wanda, and maybe they will, but like you could have like the public really not like her, and she has to go into hiding like she does in the end credits scene and stuff. Did you watch
Yeah.
the end credit scene?
I like watched it twice and I didn't understand it. She like she was in like this little island like by a mountain, and she was like outside the house and they go inside the house and then she's there again and she's like, I don't know, what can you explain it?
I think so. She's just like kind of trying to learn more about her powers. She had the dark book that Agatha had,
Yeah.
um, and it looks like that'll be explored more in the Doctor Strange movie that she's in. Um, so that's probably all that was, setting up that like, oh, she's learning more about the nature of her powers, and she was doing like astral projection, which Doctor Strange knows how to do.
And that's
Um,
pretty much it.
yeah, pretty much. And
Yeah.
we saw that Billy and Tommy were like alive somewhere, you know,
Hmm.
maybe somewhere in the multiverse or something. I don't think she'll get Vision back, but I do think she'll get Billy and Tommy back. First of all, because they're Marvel's like most prominent like LGBT characters in the
Billy and Tom.
comics. Yeah. So, I think Marvel would be dumb to get rid of them. And they're setting up the Young Avengers in pretty much every other Marvel show. So I think they're definitely going to be back.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, they're they're big characters in terms of the Young Avengers and all that stuff. So I think they'll be back.
Yeah. One other problem I had, I like the Marvel movies also have this problem with like the irrational quote unquote good, like there's like a good bad guy, or no, sorry, a bad good guy. That's the right word. It's
mhm,
someone who's on like the good side, but who's just like bad. And it was
yeah,
I forget his name. He was part of like he was part of the sword team. He was like the main guy.
yeah,
Who was like,
Hayward.
yeah, he was like, I think Wanda's bad, and we need to kill her, and I will do it, and I'll stop at nothing to kill her. And then everybody's like, well, maybe like cool, like chill your jets, dude. Like we still gotta like figure this shit out. Like what the hell is happening? Like
Yeah,
no,
like
no, no,
what happens if we
no.
do kill her? And he's
Yeah,
just
and it's
like,
like
no, I'm going in guns blazing.
it was like I don't know. It just felt like
He was
such an
insanely
archetype.
generic.
Yeah, it was like the very obvious like archetype of like, the guy who just like won't listen to any kind of reason. And like
Mhm.
sure, like there are people like that, but
All I care about is military funding.
yeah, exactly. I was just like, oh my God, like he is just detracting from the show. And I know like he's not gonna like what was his point? Like, I don't know. Like, because also Agatha, I guess, is like the main villain. But like what was that guy? He was just like a side villain who like amounted to
Yeah,
nothing.
yeah, I
He did
don't know.
nothing for the show. Like there's
I think it was
nothing.
just to have like some kind of villain for Monica and
That's true.
Darcy. And can I
Um,
also say, what was weird was like, we had the A plot with Wanda and Vision, and obviously, right? Then we had the B plot with like Jimmy Woo, Monica, and Darcy, right?
mhm.
And it was like, okay, we have like these kind of two storylines we're following. By the end, it was like Monica, Darcy, and Jimmy were all split up and all doing nothing. Like,
Yeah,
Darcy, especially, like in the last episode, she crashes into Hayward's truck with her truck. She says one line and then she leaves.
I don't
And
think
it
she
was
was in the
like,
rest of the show. She kind of
she
just disappeared.
wasn't. They literally, in the post credit scene, they're like, she left. Like, it's just so weird to me. It was like, no, wasn't she like one of the leads?
Mhm.
It was just very
Just felt
odd.
like they
And
spent a lot of time on characters that like ended up not doing much. Um, and that time could have been spent developing Wanda. I feel like what we were talking about. I think we both agree that like what Wanda did was bad.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I don't think it's hard to disagree with that or hard to agree with that. But if they had like actually just recognized that like or really put emphasis on the fact that like yeah, Wanda realized that these actions were like really bad and
Yeah.
it was and I don't know if they just somehow worked the plot out so that you know she could have atoned for her sins.
Mm-hmm.
Um, then I feel like it would have been a little bit better. But instead, they're just like, no, 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 no. She's like, you can't. They're justified, and I don't know. It was a little weird to see
It was
that was
very
like
odd.
it was very odd because it's kind of saying
Like
like
Tony Stark made Ultron, almost
exactly,
destroyed the entire world, and he was paying for that for like 2 movies.
yeah, exactly. I don't know. I have a problem where it's just like heroes can do no wrong kind of thing.
Right. Well, that's what I mean. Like in the same universe, heroes have been held accountable for doing shitty ass things.
Hmm.
You know, so it's just weird when they don't do that.
Yeah, and I
Hawkeye
felt like
was like
it would have
Hawkeye
really
went on
helped
a
out.
fucking killing spree, and everyone
Yeah, I
was
would
like,
have
"Dude, you shouldn't do that."
it would have really helped out Wanda's character if like she had realized that. I don't know. I'm kind of just repeating the same things over and over again, but I think you know what I mean.
I also did like White Vision. I liked
Of course you do.
what?
I said, of course you like
I thought
White
their
Vision.
fight was it was whatever. Um okay, so let me say this first. What I really don't like about the final fight in this show is it has the traditional Marvel syndrome, which is make the hero fight someone who has the exact same powers as them. So it's
Yeah,
just not interesting. And this happens in like Doctor Strange, in Black Panther, it happens in Iron Man, it happens in the Incredible Hulk. Like we see so many movies where they just fight someone with the same exact powers as them at the end, and then they win. That's what makes Spider-Man fun to watch fight villains like the Vulture or Mysterio or something, because he has to fight someone who has powers that are completely different from his. Same with like watching Doctor Strange fight Thanos for in Infinity War. Really cool stuff. Um, and in this one, we're literally watching Vision fight Vision, and we're watching Agatha fight Wanda, and it's just not that interesting, either of them.
hmm,
But I did end up liking how the Vision fight ends with them just talking in a library, being like, "Oh, the ship of Theseus." Like,
yeah. I didn't like. Were they basically just asking like which one is the real Vision,
yeah, yeah. Because
and
they were
like they
like, "Well, I'm the
both
consciousness
had.
of the real Vision, but I'm the body of the real Vision."
Hmm.
Um, yeah, and what was I gonna say? Yeah, so and then Vision gives White Vision his memories and his consciousness or whatever. But if they follow the comic books, then White Vision in the comic books, he has all of Vision's memories and all his protocols and everything, but he doesn't have any of the emotions attached to any of the memories. So he doesn't love Wanda, and he
Uh,
doesn't like love his children, and he doesn't feel like those are his children.
can
And
he learn to love Wanda?
yeah, but he might not, you know.
That's
And
fair.
I kind of hope they take that from the comic books and don't just be like, yeah, Vision's back in a different body. It's all good. Because, I like when deaths are permanent in Marvel movies, because there's a lot of times where they're not, you know?
Yep.
Um, like keep Tony Stark dead for God's sake. Keep Black Widow dead. Make these deaths like last and be impactful. Because if characters are just able to die and come back and die and come back, where are the stakes for anything?
That's like the one issue I had with Endgame. Well, it's sort of related, but like they killed off everybody, then they're just like, oh, don't worry, we figured out how to get everyone back. We
Yeah.
figured out time travel, and it's just like I
I
just
think
hated that explanation. I hated that explanation of we figured out time travel because then it just makes so many stupid loopholes like come out and
I think that's a little different for me, because like, seeing Infinity War, I was like, I know the plot of the next Avengers is going to be getting them back, right? Because
mhm.
they're dead, but like there's a way to reverse it, and everyone knew that going in, because you have magic rocks that can do that. Um what I don't like is like there are deaths in Infinity War that are very permanent, like Loki. Thanos kills him himself without
That
using
was dope.
the stones. He kills Gamora without using the stones. He
His
kills
Vision.
Vision. He, and then in Endgame we lose Tony and we lose Black Widow. Those deaths need to mean something, because it's okay if you're going to be like, this specific circumstance, we have a way to bring him back. But like, we've seen Loki die 3 fucking times now, and he's still getting a TV show. We've seen we saw Vision die, but he got a TV show. But thankfully, they kept him dead. And Gamora is kind of back, sort of, but it's a different Gamora. So like, who really knows? All of this is a long-winded way of me saying that I appreciate that they are keeping original Vision dead and moving
Who
on.
needs them?
Yeah, who needs them? And I will say, one victory this show definitely has for me is making me give a shit about Vision or Wanda.
Mm-hmm.
Because
I agree.
I did not before.
They had some like highs. I don't want to say high highs because they weren't that high, but they had highs. And then they didn't have low lows either, but the lows were just like they go in line with
What you
like the
expect.
Marvel formula.
Yeah.
Like, oh, they did that thing again because they want to play it safe, or they just think like, oh, this is what people want, right? You want to see like the Hayward, like who doesn't do anything for the show. I don't know.
Yeah. But I think it's a good jumping off point for these two characters. The new Vision and for Scarlet Witch. I like that she got her name in the show, and I like that she got her costume, and like she finally feels like she has a identity as an Avenger.
Yeah.
Whatever, if the Avengers are still around.
But yeah, not bad. I'd recommend it.
Yeah, if you're into the MCU and you like all the movies and you've seen them all, then there's no reason not to watch this, because you're getting, about the same level of quality as like a Doctor Strange or like a, Ant-Man, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Falcon and the Winter Soldier does start this week.
It does.
Interesting.
I wonder how that's going to be.
I don't know. I'm hoping for at least a little better than this, but I'm excited for it because I do, kind of like I didn't give a shit about WandaVision. I don't really care about Bucky or Sam, so I think doing a show to explore them more will hopefully do that. And I would love to see Falcon become Captain America by the end of the show, because that's one of my favorite parts of Endgame is him passing the shield on to Sam.
I would also like to see some kind of Marvel thing that like really focuses on a villain. I know they're kind of doing that with Loki, but like they kind of made Loki into like a good guy. So I don't know. I think Infinity War is just like the best thing that Marvel ever put out.
Well, because it's basically a Thanos movie.
It is basically a Thanos movie, and it was just so good.
Yeah, I would love to see some villain-based stuff, which is interesting because DC has kind of beat them to that punch a little bit.
Yeah, they have with Joker, right?
They did a Joker movie. They did a Harley Quinn movie. There's a Black Adam movie coming out. So Marvel can take one of their big villains like Doctor Doom or something, make a Disney Plus series. That'd be cool.
I think the biggest thing with Marvel is that like if they are doing a villain movie, they need to figure out a way to not make them like into an anti-hero kind of thing. I feel like that's just gonna be like, like, they're bad, but they're like,
imagine the hype for the Loki show if it was actually going to be him going around being villainous the entire time.
That'd be so dope.
That'd be so much fun to watch, and I'd be so excited for Loki. But
yeah,
since Loki will probably be good,
Yeah, like I want like a story that like makes it's basically the Thanos thing. I want a story that makes me not sympathize with the villain, but like be like, okay, their actions, like I understand why they did that. Like it makes sense. It's not just like this crazy thing like, oh, I'm doing it because I want power. I at least want like an explanation. But obviously I don't want it to be justified.
I want to see Joker, but for every Marvel villain.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So, it's a fun show, worth a watch, but don't expect anything crazy. I think that's another problem was that I got you didn't get this because you weren't watching it weekly and seeing fan theories and stuff, but I on every social media platform would see nothing but people talking about how WandaVision is the best thing Marvel has ever created and how it's so amazing and breaking all the bounds, but I just didn't feel that way. I felt like it was very in line with what I expected from Marvel.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, there are a couple things that really like took me by surprise. Basically the first like 3 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Um and like a couple here and there. But besides that, it was just like, okay, yep, this is what Marvel's doing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Um, moving on. You've been watching anything interesting?
I don't think so. Oh, I watched this movie called Spirit.
I
Um,
saw that.
it was like I was just like watching it with some friends, and it's it's just such a stupid movie. It's it's about like this.
Horsey.
It's about a horse, and it's just like they're just like glorifying like this horse that like
It's
I don't
horse
know.
propaganda.
Loki is like, well, no, because like obviously in the movie, like every single human is like treating the horse like horribly, which was
Yeah.
like okay, like so it's not propaganda. Like the issue is that like I don't believe that this many bad people like there's that I don't even think there's this many people in the world that have this much disdain for horses. You know what I
It's
mean?
like it's like when in Spider-Man 2, there's a part where he's like walking through campus and he drops all his books and like everybody walking by just like steps on his books and like hits him in the face with their book bags and it's like who the fuck is he attending college with? Like who does
Yeah,
this shit?
exactly.
Like
Like
everyone's being so mean.
yeah, I don't doubt that like there are people who are mean to Spider-Man or like mean to horses, but it's just I don't think
Everyone.
like yeah, everybody in the movie
It's
just
the
like
norm to be
yeah,
mean to
yeah,
the horse.
exactly. There was like one or two like people who were like, I need to save the horse. And the horse is Matt Damon, by the way. Um, and it's just I don't know. It's one of those movies
And the
that I
horse
like
is like, I'm gonna go get stuck on Mars.
it's one of those movies that it's like it's more fun to watch and like make fun of than it
Mhm.
is to actually like sit down and like be like, oh, I can't believe the cinematography. You know, um, it's an animated movie, so there's no real cinematography. But you
Right,
know what I
right.
mean?
I watched Justice League, the theatrical.
Yeah, a half a
Okay.
star.
Fucking garbage, dude. That movie sucks. It was way worse than I remembered too. And I feel bad. I dragged some of our friends to go see that. And man, it's fucking terrible. You know what though? The Snyder Cut, not getting terrible reviews as of now.
Really?
Yeah, I bite my tongue when I said this because I said the same thing when Wonder Woman 1984 got its initial reviews. And that did not end up being treated very well. So I'm going to reserve it, but usually Snyder movies come out and they immediately are rotten on Rotten Tomatoes. But as of now, this one is at 75. So
It's not great.
with 100 reviews. So
Okay, that's not bad.
for a Snyder movie, that's not bad
Yeah.
because Batman versus Superman and Man of Steel are at 50 or less. So
Mm. Okay, I
um,
get to see.
yeah, we'll see. I'm going to watch it when it comes out. It's 4 hours long. So
Oof. I'm gonna try to watch some of the movies we were talking about earlier this week, like Nomadland and Mank,
yeah, me too.
and whatever the fuck else it is.
Maybe we'll do an episode on one of those next week.
Yeah, I'd be down.
Yeah, but that's all. That's all I got. I didn't watch anything else. You?
Nope, not at all.
Cool. We're really grinding.
Oh yeah, on the grind.
But yeah, so join us next week for something else. The week after
Something
that.
something else podcast.
The week after that, the last part of Harry Potter, and maybe Falcon and the Winter Soldier down the line. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll be talking about something next week. You can count on
I
that.
feel like we should do Falcon and the Winter Soldier though, because we have now kind of set a trend with Mandalorian and WandaVision. And it's the same length as WandaVision. It's not that long.
Okay, I'll consider.
When it's all out, because I'm not going to make you do weekly if you don't want to. Anyway,
Yeah,
goodbye,
we'll
everybody.